19th April 2021, one of the most eventful days in football history, and possibly the day that could destroy football. So as you might have heard the news, you might not, but we will tell you everything in this episode of Footy Pod today. So there has been a proposal of the European Super League where teams will take part and play against each other, and it will effectively replace the Champions League. So the clubs are involved in this: AC Milan, Arsenal, Atletico Madrid, Chelsea, Barcelona, Inter Milan, Juventus, Liverpool, both Manchester clubs, Real Madrid, and Tottenham Hotspur. So these are have all joined as founding clubs. Now, this is an absolute disgrace. They're just People are doing it only for the money, and this will just kill the game, just absolutely destroy it. That we will have a top four of West Ham, Leicester, Everton, and someone else. Sorry, I forgot. Um, it's an absolute disgrace in my opinion. So we are gonna talk about our opinions on the European Super League in this episode, and we're also gonna talk about the Jose Mourinho sacking from Tottenham Hotspur, which was announced today afternoon, midday. So first of all, I will ask you guys to tell your opinions on the Super League. So, Daniel, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think it's just a big money grab for the big teams. It's not anything really that's going to help football much. I think if it was to like replace the Champions League and UEFA were with it, then I think it would be all right. But it's just the fact that it's just the clubs and it's like American investors. It's not football. Nobody in football really wants it apart from the owners of these big clubs that are going to make a lot of money. If you know anything about football recently, you'll have seen that no one wants it. Apart from the owners and the investors, no one wants it. The fans, even the fans of the clubs in it, no one wants it. I mean, I support Chelsea, Vihan and Alex support Man United, both clubs in it. We just don't, nobody wants it because it's just not good for football as a sport and just as a sort of as a community. I do agree that Champions League does need changing around. I think it's a little bit too sort of one-sided towards the biggest teams like Midtjylland, even like Atalanta. It's sort of pointless having them in it because they're never going to win it unless they somehow just get through, and that's just not going to happen. They might get to the quarterfinals, but they're never going to get further than that. So I do agree that there needs to be a change around the Champions League, which they are planning. It's just the fact that these clubs have taken it upon themselves without UEFA doing anything to try and make their own league, and I just think it's completely wrong. And they should at least have got UEFA involved to try and change it or make something new. Harry, what are your thoughts on it?
I don't like it either. I think it's just going to destroy the game. Really, who wants to have a league full of the best teams anyway? Because every game's a hard game. The players are going to be tired all the time at the end of the season. It's not going to be very good. Also, there's no relegation zone. So the same teams are going to be finishing bottom of the league every year. And it's not, after a few years, it's just going to be exactly the same. Just really boring.
Yeah. So, oh, sorry. I'm sorry for interrupting you there.
Keep going.
Yeah, I agree with you, Harry. So yeah, this is just like, it just kills the feel of the game. So we've just in the 2015-16 season, we saw Leicester City win the league, and in 2008 they were relegated to League One. We will not see these kind of stories anymore. We'll just, the top six clubs, they are out of the Premier League, and it just ruins the feel that the fans want. And that's how football was made. Clubs like Bolton Wanderers, they were the ones that made football. And then now the this is just getting, the UEFA Super League is just ruining the game because just for the greed of money. So we've also heard the reaction from UEFA, from the president. So they have said that they never knew they had such snakes around them, like who would do such thing for money. And yeah, so we can see they're completely against it, and this is the right opinion, right decision in my opinion, and they have decided to ban the players who play in the Super League from the World Cup and Euro Championships. So what do you guys think about this decision? Daniel, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think it's not just unfair on the fans and sort of football itself, it's also unfair on the players. When the players joined the club, they didn't want to get involved in a big conflict over whether they're allowed to play international games and what games they're playing. And I do feel bad for them because it's not really their fault, and they're contracted to the club to play games for the club. And if they don't play the games in the Super League, that could cause huge problems for them that they really don't want. They just want to play football, especially players, as Harry has just said in the chat, players who've come through the youth academy, Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham, players from Man United Youth Academy, Real Madrid Youth Academy, all of these youth academies who have come through, most likely loving the club they're playing for and hoping to play for the club one day. And they're going to come through and they're just going to not be able to play international games. They want playing international games and getting caps is one of the most important things for players, because it shows that they've really made it to the top playing for their country. I just think it's really unfair on pretty much everyone apart from the owners of the club or the clubs. So yeah, Harry.
Coming back to a point I said earlier about the fitness of the players. Usually in a league there are easy teams and hard teams, and playing against the hard teams, the players have to work harder and they'll be tired at the end. Playing against the easy teams, they can relax a bit, maybe, and just not work themselves as hard. But in this league, every game is a hard game, and they're gonna be dead by the end of the season. If the season will start strong with exciting games, and then everyone's just gonna be tired by halfway through, and the football's just not going to be exciting anymore. Leon?
Yeah, and then the time they've announced it as well, we've got a global pandemic going on, like literally in front of our eyes. So many clubs have nearly gone bankrupt because of it, and these people, they're just spending billions and billions on this UEFA Super League just to like for money. And then there are people who are struggling out there in terms of finances, and this is an absolute disgrace. Like we know that the fans, I mean the owners, some owners at least, they want the happiness of their club, of their fans, but this is not happiness for the fans. This just ruins what like the dynasty of football. Daniel?
Yeah, I think like you said about the money, is that we all know these clubs have a lot of money. That's just how it is. Barcelona, Real Madrid, Chelsea, Man United, they all have a lot of money because that's why they're at the top. But it's almost disrespectful to all the clubs that have lost so much money over the past year that they're just going to start up, imagine it's almost like nothing's happened. They're just going to start up this big Super League and spend a lot of money, but then they're just going to make a lot of that money back. And I think the amount of money they're all investing, and especially the American investors that are, giving a lot of money to it to start it up, they'd be better off investing that into maybe League One, League Two, National League sides that need the money because they are completely bankrupt. They cannot afford to pay their players' wages. They can't afford to pay their staff's wages. And a lot of people are going unemployed. And I just think they'd be much better off spending that money in a different place than on clubs that don't need the money. Clearly, they don't need the money because they're at the top already. And also the other thing I want to say is that a sort of statement has come out from one of the board members of one of the big 6 Premier League clubs that's joined this. We're not sure who it is because obviously they're anonymous. They don't want to be known by the club. That would be bad. And the clubs literally said, to be honest, they are not worried about PR. Our primary job is to maximize our revenues and profits. The wider good of the game is a secondary concern. I think that just sums up everything that is wrong with the European Super League. It's not about the players, it's not about the fans, it's not about the clubs. It's about the money. And football shouldn't be about the money. Yes, clubs need money, but not that much. And it should be football first, to be honest, then fans, then clubs, and then the money. Because that is what football is. It's a game for people to play. Yeah, Vihan?
So I think we've talked enough about the Super League now. Comment your opinion on the Super League, guys, in the comments. So moving on to another point of talking today, it was the sacking of Jose Mourinho. Now we can see why Daniel Levy has sacked him. Tottenham have not been getting the results recently, and they're not going to finish top 4 realistically. But one of the reasons that's coming up in the media is the Mourinho left the club because they went into the Super League. They joined the Super League. So has Mourinho made the right decision, and was it the media manipulation that forced him to leave the club? So what do you guys think? Harry?
I think it probably was, actually. As we were saying earlier, this Super League only benefits the owners of the club, and the managers and players don't want to do it. So probably Jose Mourinho said, "I don't want to train for this because it's not what we should be focusing on. We should be focusing on league and the things we're already in. We should be playing football and not playing money." And I think he's probably fine with being sacked, actually. I think that's what he wanted from refusing to train, because he knew that would get him sacked. I think that was probably I don't think he wanted to get sacked. He just wanted to make a point. And I think that's the point he wanted to make, is that we should not do the Super League and focus on football rather than money.
Yeah, I agree with you. And so what do you think, Daniel? Has Mourinho made the right decision?
Well, whether or not he's been sacked because he refused to do training today because of the Super League or whatever it is, or if it's just their results, I think in a way Mourinho may have even resigned over the next few days, just because I feel like he does seem like a person who actually cares about football. He's been a manager for a long time, very at the top of football for a long time. And I feel like, yes, it's obviously partly about money. It is for every player, every manager. But to me, he seems like the kind of person that would care about football and care about his reputation among fans, less about clubs. And I just think whether it is the results or the ESL, whatever it is, or if he even resigned, is probably the right choice in terms of where he would want to be, I think. And if I was him, I would have stood down anyway, because it's just not really right. But the problem is, like, Tuchel did a interview earlier, and he has, like I said about the players, they are contracted to the club to play games and win games for the club. So by not playing them, that can cause big problems for them, because the amount of money they have, they could really be bad for the managers, and it's not like the players. It's feel really bad for them. Vihan?
Yeah, and the Mourinho sacking comes 6 days before they face Man City in the Carabao Cup final. So that is a bit of a stupid decision, actually, because Mourinho has won against Pep Guardiola before. They've beaten them 2-0 this season. They beat them 2-0 last season. So even though Tottenham are not in the greatest of forms, they still have the ability with the likes of Kane and Son and Ndombele. They still have the quality to win the final. So, and also the statement that Tuchel gave earlier. So he was stuttering in the interview. As I noticed. So it's not their choice. They're being forced to join the Super League, and the players are also being forced, and they're taking risks with their fitness with this Super League. So I think that that pretty much rounds up the Super League. And also, oh, just before we finish, Daniel has a point to say.
Yeah, I just have one last point, and this is what I've kind of been saying since I heard about it yesterday and a little bit the day before. It's just that I don't think the players will play. I know they're contracted to the club, like I've been saying, and they have to play. But if they are forced to play, I think a lot of the players will walk onto the pitch and just stand there or sit there and just won't play because they don't want to play. You can tell they don't want to be banned from the Premier League, banned from international games, banned from the Champions League, because that's what football is. That's how football has worked for a long time. And I think that if they do properly go ahead with the ESL, there's going to be a lot of players that don't play, and there's going to be a huge uproar from just everyone, really.
Yes. Right. I think that pretty much finishes off the podcast. Not really a podcast. It's just basically a rant, kind of. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, this Super League has a lot of questions over our heads now. So we will update you. So you will be updated that there'll be news coming out about the Super League. So make sure to check that news out. We will be posting videos about it this later on in this week as well. So thank you for watching this podcast, and see you next time.